Okay, hey, we're going to another episode of On the Wrist from Off the Cuff. Today we have a really cool review for you from the brand Casio, particularly their G-SHOCK line. Now a little bit about them. Casio was founded back in 1974 with their first watch being the Casiotron. They're Japanese in origin and they're really known for their wide range of digital watch offerings from the lines like G-SHOCK, Edifice, and Oceanus. Now, in terms of the G-SHOCK brand, they were first launched back in 1983 with the GW-B5000C. Before G-SHOCK, watches were generally seen as delicate precision instruments that naturally would or even should break if they were dropped. The development cycle involved adding cushioning materials to prototypes and dropping them from their third floor men's restroom to watch them break 10 meters below. Then they would study the pieces, they'd repair them and reinforce over and over again. Their main breakthrough of the project was when the lead Kiku Ibe was inspired by seeing a child bounce a rubber ball, sparking the idea that a unique structure where the module at the heart of the watch floats in the air of a hollow tunnel within the case. So that's kind of how G-SHOCK was born, a little bit about them. You guys might remember the watch on the left. Oh my gosh, it's the Virtual Armor. I think it's the best kind of G-SHOCK square ever made, but I think the best value G-SHOCK square ever made is actually right next to it. It's the GMWB5000HR-1. Now a little bit about that. The new B5600HR comes with a new type of band that carries on the proud tradition of the distinctive square design of the 5000 and 5600 series, which still maintains the same basic form as the original DW-5000C. Now the outer segments of the band are made out of resin embedded with metal parts, while the center segments are made of lightweight, highly durable, fine resin. So it's very cool to kind of have two different types of resin there within that H-Link style bracelet, which are, you know, it's cool. And one of the main things I love about the Virtual Armor model on the left is that it's on a bracelet. I'm just a bracelet guy. I'm not heavy. I mean, yeah, I do wear NATO straps and yeah, I do wear straps, but I prefer everything on the bracelet as the default setting. And yeah, the cool thing is that there are watches that don't cost $16.50. They don't have to be made out of titanium for you to enjoy a watch like this. And some of you probably do prefer the negative display, and I did want to have those sitting next to you so you guys could understand that and see that both of these in terms of their modules are very, very similar. They're solar powered. They have pretty much all the same feature sets to include the Bluetooth sync, which is why these have been sunk perfectly. As you can see, I did that right off camera. The main difference, guys, is the price. Crazy thing. $199 on Amazon Prime. I don't know if it'll be there when you look at this video or even when I post this video, but that's where I found this watch versus the one that my wife bought me as a gift for, you know, $16.50 directly from Casio at their G-SHOCK store. So you're still getting that multi-band 6 atomic timekeeping, Bluetooth, smartphone link, solar powered, same size silhouette, you know, the 43 millimeters. This one has a 13 millimeter height, 49 millimeter lug to lug, and then of course it's going to be that steel and resin combination versus it being, you know, all metal that you look at when you look at the watch on the left. So wow, that was a really long intro for you guys to stare at watches that aren't really updating much information, so I apologize. One thing I will point out for those of you that have already, or maybe didn't notice yet, is that I run one watch on military time, 24-hour scale, and the other one on AM PM scale. So just a difference, but they're still in sync. So let's go ahead, zoom the camera out, get these pieces in hand, and take a closer look. All right, guys. Now, in terms of the aesthetic, very, very similar. You're getting, you know, black with red accents. You're getting a G-SHOCK square. I will say, yeah, it's a cool look. And then you can see even underneath it even has more of that accent. As when you look on this side, it almost is like little flashes, like a polished chamfer, versus here you actually do get a polished chamfer. So you could see the polished portions, but this is more of a single link, like a Y shape, versus here the more H-link shape. So not quite as articulated, but also not quite as expensive. Of course, this is going to be a much deeper black, versus here it's going to render a bit brighter because of it's a more of a matte porous finish on the resin versus the finer matte finish on these DLC coated titanium. So very nice from that perspective. But some of you might be even looking at these and thinking, oh, the cheap one looks better. For me, this thing is freaking sweet. I love it. I think it's perfect. Wouldn't change anything about it. But the price point on this, like, as much as I love that, it kind of makes me blown away even more by this piece. I would change some things about this. That would be the main thing, is that, yes, it's a stamped folding. Yeah, I don't like that. Also, another difference, you're going to get a screwed in case back versus a screw in case back. So, you know, in kind of the flexometer of the G-SHOCK game, this is, of course, nice having a steel case back. Don't get me wrong. It's not quite as highly desirable as when you have the full screw in case back there, as you can, whenever the camera wants to decide to, there we go, check that out. So not quite to the same level, but, you know, again, not quite to the same level of cost either. Let's go and look at some of the notes on this bad boy here. Pulled directly from Casio's lovely site. Let's see, durable resin, inner surfaces, okay, distinctive red accents, we talked about that. The push one press threefold clasp on the buckle, okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, we pretty much talked about it. It has a lot of great things. Integrated lugs, so don't worry about the lug width. Resin bracelet, about 25 millimeters at this first link, and then it tapers down to about 19 millimeters towards the clasp, roughly 20 millimeters at the push button folding clasp, with some manual micro adjust holes here, as you can see. So if I, you know, my wrist is swelling or shrinking, I can just kind of hit that little pin there and set it to fit more comfortably. But as you can see also, let's get it nice and close, and then let's hit it with the light. It's a little hard to, there you go. Quite nice. Comparable here, a lot more legible at various angles, and still quite legible while illuminated. And if you wanted to just take a close look here, of course, a bit more minimalistic in terms of the kind of all the ornate details and extra branding and everything being spelled out. So some of you might, you know, like something a little bit more calmed down, scaled down in terms of the busyness that's on here. I think the busyness is part of the charm on the virtual armor, but you know, I think you still get a lot of charm in terms of the red lettering on the G-SHOCK, the protection there. Of course, again, these pops of red, the different style of resin there, where you're going to get the kind of deeper blacker versus the more matted, you know, kind of impact resistant. Also, the connectors on here are actually mini spring bars, and you can see here, they, you know, if you think about drilled lugs, these are, you know, these have holes in the pass through, so you can either go that way or you can use a spring bar tool to kind of come in from the inside to set. Versus here, I believe these were pin and collar, and they worked fine. Kind of set it and forget it. But with all that said, let's get it on wrist and see how it wears in comparison. So let's get them both on wrist. All right, guys, as you can see, it wears like a classic G-SHOCK square. I mean, just like the one Keanu Reeves wore in Speed, except this one has a really cool bracelet and, you know, a lot more features to it in terms of, you know, multi-band 6, also being solar powered and whatnot. So really beautiful. And, you know, of course, it's no Patek or anything like that, but it is a handsome, iconic watch. Like, this is a cool G-SHOCK, and even people who are not into watches, when they see a cool G-SHOCK, they recognize a cool G-SHOCK, and this is it, guys. Look at that. It has so many of those features people like. It has the negative display, which not everybody loves, but some people cannot live without. It is, it has all the right features. You get the Bluetooth syncability. You get this great bracelet again. You know, not quite up to the same level, but man, not even costing anywhere nearly as close. And if both of these were on the wrist, most people wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Some people, again, they still might prefer this aesthetic because it is less polarizing and it's just more generally clean and cool, right? Black with a little pop of red. Here you're getting black with a little pop of red, but you're also getting all of the extra text all over this piece. Not everyone's crazy about that. Not everybody likes big Japanese animation mechas. Some of us just, you know, want a cool functional piece. And I have to say, in terms of a cool functional piece, I mean, even for a non-watch fan, this is like kind of an ultimate watch type of gift. It's giving them something very special, but also very recognizable, so you can get a bit of street cred for it. It's not your basic $40 Casio G-SHOCK Square, but you know, it's also not something crazy like this. So very nice, wears really beautifully. Let's go ahead, get it back off the wrist, do a little, you know, would it be weird to do low light transitions? Let's just do it. All right, now normally I'll do loom shots and low light transitions with standard watches, but here I'll try to do it with this bad boy, but I'll hit the lights and see. Okay, I'll have that other kind of low light off in the side. We'll hit this. Boom, very nice and legible, as you can see. We'll get a little low light transition in terms of, look at the legibility of that dial in mixed lighting conditions. A lot harder to read. Okay, and then you get it straight on, very legible. Get it off to different angles, much harder to read. So this is actually quite useful. Yeah, I like to do low light transitions because you're not always going to be out in the middle of a field enjoying direct sunlight. A lot of times you'll be, you know, just in your favorite vehicle, maybe coming in and out of a building. Look, it just doesn't even, the camera doesn't even want to focus on this bad boy. Hit it with the glow right there. Again, very legible with the loom turned on, very legible with light straight on, but at angles you're gonna see how that disappears. You don't get that with the positive display, guys. You just don't. But this thing looks cool. I mean, it's a good look. It's a very good look. I will say, looks very good. But yeah, come on. And then you can see the reds are very red, the blacks render very black. But yeah, that's all she wrote from that perspective. So on the wrist wears very similar to any other classic G-SHOCK square, but it feels more premium, of course. Not quite to the level of a full metal G, but also not costing as much. Now, in terms of model variants, there are also a handful of other resin bracelet models, but this one is my pick of the bunch, honestly. Like, I think this was the best looking one, and that's the one that I bought for myself. Comparable models, you know, you could get something very similar in terms of the capabilities and functionality, but on a strap for basically about $100. Then you get this for about 200 with the cool resin bracelet, and then for in between $400 to $600, you can get a steel model, or yeah, then you move up into you know, $1,650 for the titanium version. So there's definitely a lot of meat on the bone in terms of if you have different tastes at different price points. But I think this is a bit of a sweet spot, right? Like, yes, you can get these capabilities in a watch that has a strap for half the cost, but at $200, it's still, I think it's still a killer deal. Like, I'm blown away. Like, this thing is awesome at this price point. Bottom line for me, guys, this is my pick. Again, the sweet spot in terms of an affordable yet feature rich, and not just feature rich in terms of the module, also feature rich in terms of the fact that it's on the bracelet and it looks really great, especially within the G-SHOCK Square line. So with all that said, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like the video, please do it like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe for more content just like this. Thanks, guys.